Hi, I'm Alex Davis from Porter Creek Vineyards. This is my Fiona Hill vineyard. Um, my father bought this property in 1979 and started making wine in 82. And I worked with him and studied wine in California. And then in France, I studied at Fresno State University, worked for a few other local wineries, worked with my father, and then went and sort of unlearn everything I learned in school in California in France about not using so much technology, real hands-off approach to both the viticulture and the winemaking. And then came back in '97, and first year I started doing all natural yeast fermentations, all natural malolactic fermentations, picking the grapes when the acidity is good rather than picking extremely ripe for real high ripe flavors and higher alcohol. Looking for wines with structure and texture and ageability. Starting around 2000, we stopped all synthetic chemical use, just using sulfur and hand working the weeds under the vines and things. And then around 2003, we got interested in biodynamics. A lot of the interest in biodynamics is based on the idea that a grapevine is not supposed to be grown in a vineyard. It's supposed to be in nature in the forest, climbing trees, so that it can get to the top of the trees and the birds can spread the seeds. And then they grow based on ambient rainfall and the mulching of the trees and things. Now in a vineyard, that's never going to happen, but we can get a little bit closer to that by maintaining the fertility of the soil floor here, using compost that emulates the mulching of the tree leaves and things in the vineyard instead of bringing in synthetic chemicals. We do have to water here, but we do it on a real minimal level. Wines that are grown with minimal inputs give an extra level of complexity and nuance. It's not that it has more color or more flavor, it's that I feel like the definition of flavors is getting deeper. And it was kind of taught to us in California school that you need to make very textbook wines. In other words, if the pH is not at some level, you have to add some acid to bring it to certain levels, and using a lot of charts and formulas and things. Whereas what I saw in France is so much more of sort of a farmer's intuition, if you will, where you just have experience, you do it year after year, and you just see the way things evolve, and you have quite an intuition. And it is great to have the scientific training, but I think the best thing you can do with the scientific training is park it in the back of your brain and just pull it out when you need it. It's nice to have a toolbox, but it's a whole lot better to not have to use it. Our winemaking process is actually extremely simple. I've tried really hard to get back to the principles of the way that wines were made about 100 years ago or even hundreds of years ago in Europe. In other words, very little additions. I do use a little bit of sulfur, but I try really hard to pick when the natural acidity is good so I don't have to add grape acid back, so that the grapes are at the perfect balance point, or within the range of balance points that I like to work with, so I don't have to do further manipulations in the cellar.